All right, welcome to the All American Hoops Podcast, episode 48. As per usual, I'm joined by my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Chris, it's always a pleasure.
Matt, can you hear me?
I'm currently fighting through. Sorry, say that again. Can you hear me? You can?
No, keep going.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I'm currently fighting through some Wi-Fi issues, so my apologies if I glitch out a little bit. You didn't mention number 48. You didn't mention what episode it is. What athlete?
Episode 48. Yeah, I didn't mention the athlete. I'm a little thrown off by the new format, but where we're going. But yeah, episode 48 is the Jacob. We'll talk a little bit about. We talked a little bit about baseball a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to talk about a ton today. The Mets season came to an end last Sunday. Obviously, pretty bummed out about that. But however, as Howie Rose said, it was one of the most heartwarming seasons that we ever saw from the Mets. So it was an amazing time to see. But season definitely makes this the Mets pain a lot. Jesus Christ. Pretty sure it's both of us, Matt, that are dealing with the Wi-Fi issues, but that's okay. We'll fight through it. Yeah. Okay. So, it's also brand new format, as I mentioned. Yeah, we're no longer starting the show with myself doing the monologue. We're just gonna hop right in. We're just gonna be able to attack more actual content. So that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, but obviously it's the first podcast of the season. I say it's a new season as if I didn't just have a podcast on Sunday night. So, but obviously first episode since the season started, I should say. And it's already been a pretty good season. So it's been a combination of both, actually, both good and bad. But we're going to start off with the bad simply because we don't want to finish off on the low notes. But basically, what we wanted to first talk about was just all the injuries in the going on in the league right now, because there's unfortunately been a ton of them. Joel Embiid and Paul George didn't play in their game ones yet, and apparently they're not playing in their two games after this. Zion Williamson, I don't even know I'm pretty sure that it said illness for him. I don't even know what it got her with him. Kawhi Leonard gonna be out for at least a few weeks. I feel like James Wiseman tore his Achilles yesterday. Just a couple other big ones. But I'm just wondering, Matt, did you have any thoughts either on any of the specific injuries or like big picture of what you thought of what you think is going on?
Yeah, I actually I have a couple takeaways from this. You didn't mention one. Brandon Miller left the game. I was looking on Twitter. Apparently, he might just miss like a game or two. It's not that serious. But I want to start off with the James Wiseman injury. Obviously, with the new team, the Pacers this year, seemed like he was, maybe get his feet under him, especially with like a vet like Miles Turner ahead of him in the depth chart. Like maybe learn a couple things, maybe finally live up to like the potential that we've been hearing about the past couple of years. So it's really sad to see. I believe it was a 1-year deal. I'm not entirely sure. So I don't know if he'll be on the Pacers again next year, but and then again, I really want to dive into the Joel Embiid, the Paul George, the Kawhi Leonard, those type of injury. I mean, Zion I think was just sick, so I think he'll be back. But these type of like the Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kawhi is kind of sad. I think the NBA is finally like turning a corner from this, like the whole load management situation. Obviously, there are going to be outliers like those three, but with the rule of having to play 65 games to be I don't know what the word is, be eligible for All NBA and different awards, I think is a great idea from the NBA. But it's just sad, like the guys I feel like that are load managing are the ones that end up being hurt. Like I don't know if there's like any data or any science behind load managing directly correlating to guys becoming healthy during playoff time, because the guys that do it in the league really aren't healthy come playoff time.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I'm not, and obviously we're not here to say that like, the league is soft right now and everyone's lazy and everything, because that's not what it is. I think it's more so a matter of them being coddled, which which you can argue is a good or bad thing. But however, if you're coddling the guys, but they're still getting injured, that's a tough thing to see. I think like one thing that I've talked about with TikTok content creator Basketball for Brains. He used to do his top 20 list a bit ago. He was actually like one of the first guys that I collabed with when he shared my top 20 list. We've talked about this at length during his lives. Actually, a big reason why that NBA players get injured more now than they used to is just the wear and tear on their bodies. I have mad respect for the history of the league. I'm not here to say that like the league is so much better now than it used to be, because I don't think that's the case at all. But the players today, from a much younger age, the wear and tear in their bodies that go into playing. In the 60s, this was sometimes their part-time job. In the 80s, they were like they weren't playing like super competitively until they were like in high school. And then even like in the early 2000s, these guys were playing like super competitive in high school, but then they were also able to play like other sports. These guys, these like new guys coming into the league right now, they eat, sleep basketball every day. It's like since like they're like 10 years old, and both of us have seen this firsthand, honestly. And we grew up in like a white suburb town, and guys will just play basketball every single day, all four seasons. I guess you could say all 3 seasons if we're talking school sports. But yeah, that's all they do. They totally outdo themselves, and then also like strength and conditioning is important. But however, if you're just lifting all the time and constantly running, your body's gonna crash eventually, especially when you get older. Like guys like Durant, Kawhi, Embiid, or Paul George. And I don't know how to fix that problem specifically. But if you were to ask me, why is it that why there are injuries that happen so much more now than they used to, I think that is at the very least one of like it has to be like in the top 3.
Yeah, I would totally agree about the part about how they've just been playing basketball their entire lives. Also, another thing you mentioned, like the history of the game, like back then guys were playing for like 10 years. Like
Right.
Now you see guys are playing like Chris Paul, obviously LeBron's in year 22. Chris Paul's in year 20. Like I saw a tweet the other day that if LeBron wasn't in year 22, people would be making like such a massive deal about Chris Paul getting to year 20. I think Kevin Durant's in year 16. Mike Conley is in year 18. Like
18, yeah.
The longevity has been, obviously increasing every year and every generation. But the NBA, like I don't know how to solve this problem. Like I think the 65 minimum for all accolades is a good starting point, but I really don't know how to like lower the injury total, because like I think Kawhi is just like actually hurt. Like he's just been getting
100%.
like seriously hurt for the last couple of years. And like I think 99% of NBA players like want to be out there and want to play. Like I think there are certain guys that are lazy and really don't care about playing or not, but I think the majority of people want to be out there. But there's just got to be something. There's got to be something that like has to be figured out to stop all these injuries.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that some people blamed the 65 game threshold for some of the injuries increasing. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't know a single player that's I don't know of any players that's that got more injured because of the 65 game threshold. Like Kawhi gets injured every single year, as I mentioned, as we talked about this off the air multiple times, both on and off the air multiple times. He hasn't finished the last 4 seasons, and in addition, he hasn't finished 6 out of the last 8 seasons if you include 2017 and 18. Guys like Embiid always gets injured. If you want to say that he was pushing too hard, like in the one game in January, fine. But like, are you really going to blame like the 65 game road threshold for that when he's always getting injured? I don't believe that's. But yeah, like I agree with that rule. Like I stand by it. I don't know the data specifically, but I do know people have been getting injured for years, and implementing that rule didn't really affect anything. I know that some people were talking about doing like it's hard. It would be hard to change any rules without like really changing the history of the game. So I know that I know we talked about it earlier, but I don't know if you actually ended up listening to that Nick Wright video. he suggested changing the points to make the 2 pointers 3-pointers and 3-pointers 4-pointers to increase viewership and everything. He also recommended I'm sure you've seen this idea before, where you just like the 3-point line is like totally is like almost like this, so there's no more corner to threes. I don't like that at all. I feel like that totally cuts out the scheming. But and he brought up the point about how baseball has changed its rules, but I feel like baseball really hasn't changed a ton. Like obviously the pitch clock was a big change, and the banning of the shifts, which we've talked about multiple times. Like they banned the shifts, but it really didn't change much. And like, I guess really the only thing that really changed was the ghost runner on second base. But I don't know what you could do for basketball there other than adding points or maybe cutting down minutes or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would be tough no matter what. But the NBA has never been afraid of change, so I'm not sure what their thought process would be there. I know your guy Drew Fitzpatrick just mentioned Embiid mentioned the thing. I don't know what he's talking about there, but
you mentioned Embiid. Drew was actually Drew and ex-teammate of our summer league team, Pat Wirt, was at the Sixers Bucks game the other night.
Ooh.
Where Embiid and Paul George unfortunately sat out. Not sat out. I mean, they're hurt, but
yeah.
Jordan Poole is absolutely frying the Celtics right now, Drew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. They're up 10 at the half. Jordan, how many points is Poole have?
He's 20, I think.
Jesus Christ, 20 points, three steals, 1 block, 7 of 12,
17 in the first quarter,
7 of 12, 6 of 9 from 3. So with that, they're still up 10. Jason Tatum is 20, Derek White 13, Jaylen Brown 11. So nothing new. Thanks Drew for that. That's a perfect transition period to our next segment. So obviously, as I mentioned, we wanted to get the bad news out of the way, because obviously this is gonna be a happy podcast, because it's we got the Mets news out of the way, we got the injuries out of the way. Now it's gonna be strictly the good vibes for the rest of the episode, especially with our Boston Celtics played on Tuesday night, absolutely obliterated the New York Knicks in what was the ring ceremony. So Matt and I and our in friend of the show, Matt McCann, and our father sat down to watch the ring ceremony. We had some burgers and dogs, and also just watched some amazing basketball being played. So I'm not even going to go into details, Matt. If you want to just start off right away, we'll give your takeaways on the game.
I'm just going to start from the beginning about the ring ceremony and the banner raising. It's so awesome to be on the side of the team that's doing that. It's so cool. Like the last championship of my favorite team was the Giants winning the Super Bowl in 2011 when I was in 4th grade. Like, I don't remember that at all, really. I just remember like watching the game. It's so awesome watching your team win. It's like an undescribable feeling. We were giving standing ovations to every single player and every single coach that came out to get their ring. The living room exploded when Sam Cassell was announced. It's just unbelievable. And then to get into the actual game, it was like one of the least stressful games of all time. It was like a little bit back and forth at the beginning. The Knicks offense looked pretty good at the beginning. But then the Celtics just started like not missing. Their spacing is unbelievable. They have so many ways that they can attack you. This is like they were the best team in the NBA last year, and I just think bringing everyone back. I know some teams got better, but I just still think it's the Celtics league. It's somebody has to knock them off to prove to me that the Celtics aren't the best team in the league anymore.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. The ring ceremony was awesome. Our sociopath of a coach kissed the floor. It would have been like a wholesome moment for like any other coach in the league. Like if it was like a Doc Rivers or a Greg Popovich or a Steve Kerr, like a veteran coach, it would have been like, oh wow, like he's really in love with the game. This is really cool to see. Like I'm sure, actually, like up on the break side, because I'm sure we would have been like, okay, that's a little weird. With this guy, we were like, okay, not surprising at all, and we're like, okay, you just love this game. But then afterwards, he said, oh yeah, like I wanted to taste blood. I'm like, okay, this guy's a goddamn sociopath, and we love it, and that's why we love him so much. But yeah, assistant coaches, yeah, it's funny seeing Celtics fans like fall in love with their assistant coaches. Like I don't think like obviously they did it with Joe, they did it with Charles Lee, who we'll talk about later, Damon Stoudemire, Will Hardy, who's the head coach of the Jazz now. But yeah, I feel like I haven't really seen that with any other team besides the Celtics. Yeah, obviously just a few things to factor in. Jason Tatum went 8 of 11 from 3, 98% true shooting. I made a TikTok on this the other day. If Jason Tatum's 3-ball is back, which knock wood, I really hope it is, we are going to have some very uncomfortable conversations about Jason Tatum. It won't be uncomfortable for us, but it'll be very uncomfortable for other people, and we are going to make it uncomfortable for them because anytime the guy breathes wrong, he gets slandered by ESPN and First Things First and all that. But if this guy, he won a championship despite all that, with shooting like the worst in his life, but he was still playing elite defense, still playmaking at a very high level, which not every other player can. People get confused because usually if a player shoots bad, that means he plays bad. That's not the case with Jason Tatum because he's able to impact the game in many other ways. But he shot the ball extremely well. He's not going to shoot 8 of 11 every single night, but he's playing well tonight. If he plays at, like, I keep on saying, like, if he plays like an all NBA level, but he's made 3 first-team all NBA, so he can't improve that much. But if he plays like at like a top 3 MVP level, which not at all out of the question because he's improved so much in every other way besides his jump shot. If you mix in that with his jump shot, the guy can absolutely win MVP. So if you just factor in regular season awards, we're gonna, again, like, I'm not saying best in the league, but I'm saying he's not far from it at all. And obviously not many people make top 100 lists like I do, but he skyrockets. I think I didn't finalize it yet, but like I put him in like the top 55, I think, for where to put him. It's only going to go higher if he continues this way. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself just because it's the first game, as I mentioned, but so obviously very happy with that. And then the role players played great as well. Like Jaylen Brown, like didn't have his best stuff by any stretch, but he still played awesome. Derek White played, like, I think he had 24 points if I'm not mistaken. So it's like that was like the quietest 24-point game I ever saw. And by the way, they won by however many. They were up like 35 at one point, and they get to add their 30. They get to add a 7-4 sharpshooter. So 7, please, not 7-4, but yes, 7-2 sharpshooter. What is stopping this team? It's literally only themselves. It's like there is, like, you want to say the Thunder have constructed their team well enough to maybe fight off the Celtics, but I don't think any other team is on their level as of now.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on the game for a little bit. Like you said about Jason Tatum's jump shot, it just it looks so much better. Like, a lot of people like I've seen clips of Ben Simmons shooting in the offseason for the past like 6 years. And then you go into the game and the jump shot looks horrible. Jason Tatum, like, clearly last playoffs, I think he shot like 28% from 3. Clearly there was something wrong with his jump shot. There was a little hitch. It just looks so much quicker, looks so much smoother. And it showed yesterday. Today he's shooting pretty well. I saw him hit a couple mid-range in the first quarter. I think he's like 1 of 3 from 3 right now. But then again, you said, like, Drew Holiday played super well. Jaylen Brown, the first game, he didn't shoot too well. I think he was like 7 of 17, but he was 5 of 9 from 3. With elite defense. Derek White, I feel like he misses like once a game. He takes unbelievable shots, like open looks. He creates his own shot. He gets to the paint with the little floater. Al Horford is aging like fine wine. And then the only like slight concern is the bench. Besides Luke Cornett didn't play too well. Peyton Pritchard was pretty inefficient. Sam Hauser was fine. I mean, they were kind of chucking threes at the end, so their efficiency was going to be a little lower. Mm-hmm. Sam Hauser was pretty solid. I really would like to see Xavier Tillman make a couple open looks. That would make this team way more dangerous. And to come back to what you were asking, what stops this team, I truly think it's injuries. I know last year they ran into some injury luck in the playoffs, even though Porzingis was out. A lot of their opponents were injured. Say what you want. It was I don't think any championship run is easy, but there were a lot of injuries to help them. But I think if they stay healthy, they could have like the hardest path possible, and I still think they're the best team in the league. So I do think it's theirs to lose.
Absolutely. Everything you said about the bench is accurate. So I said it the other day. Like, I appreciate Xavier Tillman as a player. Obviously, I love myself a good defensive specialist. Obviously played awesome against in game 4. I want to game 3 of the finals. Playing defense, he was able to switch on Luka, hit a very clutch corner 3. I'm not confident at all with the ball in his hands, though. I think I think if they could work on that with him a little bit, I'm sure they did it over the summer, but if they could just give him reps during the regular season, that'd be great. Hoping to see Nemes Keita a little more too. I'm sure we will.
He was getting some run today.
He is perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, Keita, yeah, Cornets, just yeah. They were talking about it on the Bill Simmons show the other day. On the over-unders episode, they said like, yeah, they built the team strong, and they built like a strong enough foundation to where they could just drop every night a night saying, okay, so this guy's going to play X amount of minutes, and we're just going to let Peyton Pritchard cook everyone all night to build up that confidence. So it's a very, if you can do it, that's a very, like, if you could build a strong enough roster, that's a great way to do it. So yeah, shout out to them for that. I feel like I don't know if how many wins do you think they get this year?
I think because of the Porzingis injury, I think they win a little bit less than last year. I also think, like you said, there are going to be nights where I don't know if like Tatum or Brown will sit out, but maybe they play a limited amount of minutes. So I'm going to think they went 64 and 18 last year. I'm going to say 62-20. I think they lose only 2 less games with the Porzingis injury.
Nice. Yeah, that's a very good pick. Yeah, I had them at 60-22 in my official predictions. So sounds right, I think. Yeah, I think the Porzingis injury might be a little more concerning than I initially would have thought. Because the league is a little bit stronger now. I don't know if the Celtics could win the championship again without Porzingis. I feel like they might need him this time around, but then again, we said that last year, so I'm not sure what the thought process would be there, but it would be very interesting. But yeah, I think it's still, I'm sure they're probably about to start the second half, honestly. But they're up 10 at half. Hopefully they hold on, because we just said some awesome things about them. Hopefully it's not any type of jinx, but we will see. Okay, so yeah, we got a ton of time, but anyway, we talked, and I brought this up to you yesterday off the air. As great as this is, we're able to do this part time, like just for fun, and I'll do this for. I imagine I'll do this for a very long time because it's a fun thing to do. It would be very nice if we could, we've talked about this before, if we could just quit our jobs and just do this full time, because there are people who do that. Like the fact that I watched the first 2.5 quarters of the Lakers game, then I had to go to sleep because I had to go to work the next morning. So we'll live with what we have for now, but maybe something else changes later. But we can talk about the Lakers game next, because I know that we both of us watched a little bit of that. So obviously, the Lakers they didn't blow out the Wolves, but like they controlled like a majority of the game. They won by 7, but the game was a lot more than 7. Like the game was like a lot more of a one. It was a lot more one-sided than the score suggests. So I don't know if you had any takeaways from that game.
I have a lot of takeaways about the Timberwolves that game.
Yeah,
the Julius Randle fit looks very awkward. I know the cat fit looked kind of awkward for the Knicks too. It's the first game. There's going to be adjustment time.
Oh yeah,
but
do you actually want to talk about the Knicks before we dive into the Wolves and the Lakers, because we didn't really talk about the Knicks?
Yeah. The Knicks.
Yeah.
I think there's a high percentage that is the worst the Knicks are going to look for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the absence of Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson on the defensive end was very, very noticeable. The Celtics were attacking Karl-Anthony Towns. They were getting him and Brunson in the pick and roll early and often. It's easy to hide Brunson. It's easy to hide one bad defender, especially if your identity is defense and pushing the pace. But it's tough to you don't really hide Cat. Like, I think he's a okay defender, but his rim protection is definitely worse than Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein. And they were putting him in almost every action. So it's tough to kind of come back from that if two of your guys are getting cooked on the defensive side. I also will say Mikal Bridges, I'm not worried about his jump shot. I know it looks like a weird hitch, but it looks like that he went back to his old jumper in the second half and he went like 7 of 8. So I'm not too worried. OG Anunoby was kind of, I don't know, not invisible. Like, I know he had a couple defensive stops, but I think he only had like 4 points. Like, I didn't notice him on the offensive end at all. But when Mitch gets back, I think their depth is going to be their strong suit. Deuce McBride is a absolute stud. He's improved his game so much in the past couple of years. He's really, really impressive on a great contract too. But yeah, I mean, they looked a little clunky. There's points where there was 3 guys standing on the wing in the corner on the same side, and it was just like a Brunson trying to get to his post move. I don't think that's going to happen. The more games they'll play, the better they'll look, I think.
I 100% agree. I don't think that. Yeah, their defense is going to be. Like, people say their defense is going to be better. I think it's going to be worse because at the end of the day, your defense can't get much better when you have Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns and your starting lineup again. Which I know that Brad Stevens was able to make it work with Kemba Walker and a combination of Daniel Tyson and Canner. But Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. He's not Brad Stevens though. So yeah, it'll be tough for that. Which and I understand like OG and Mikal and Josh Hart are very good defenders. Josh Hart is good. I don't think he's very good actually. Now that I say that, but
he's very versatile. I think Josh Hart's a very good defender.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a very good rebounder. I'll give you that. But yeah, maybe I'm underrating him a little bit. But he's a good role player. But like maybe as like a starter, fifth starter, they might be a little worse. But yeah, their defense is going to be good, but it's not going to be as good as it was last year. And I'm very, very confident in that. And like I said, perimeter defense is important, but when your point of attack defender is very below average, which I give Jalen Brunson credit. Like he takes a lot of charges. He'll get you some steals if in certain situations, but there's really not much you can do when you're that small. And then Karl-Anthony Towns is he's not he was able to. Like last year, it was good. Like when he was able to guard the center, and then Gobert was able to play the roamer role. But I don't know if he's able to like anchoring like the center defense. He's gonna be a little worse at this year. So yeah, the Knicks will be a better team for sure. But yeah, like I'm someone who's been lower on the Knicks as a whole for a couple of years now, and they've been proving me wrong. So like I won't be taking any victory laps if I happen to be right about this team. Actually, I probably will. But yeah, I do think the Knicks will be a slightly worse team this year than. Okay, that's not true. They'll be like they won't be. I think they'll be slightly worse than expectations, I should say. But that doesn't really say much because they do pretty high expectations. So yeah, we'll transition that to the Timberwolves though. Yeah, you mentioned that the fits between the Wolves was pretty awkward with Julius Randle. Yeah, if you wanted to expand on that.
Yeah, so I saw a couple clips on Twitter where like a Lakers guard would be on Randle and he'd be posting it up, or he'll be like trying to get the ball on like the elbow or something like that. And last year on the Knicks, he would get that, and then he would dribble for 10 seconds and force up a contested floater, and it would somehow go in sometimes. But like it's Anthony Edwards' team. Last year it was clearly Jalen Brunson's team, but Brunson took the torch last year. It seemed like. Mm-hmm. It was still like Brunson and Randle. Like it was Brunson was the one, but it was like a 1A, 1B.
Episode 4, we did the emergency pod with John Cassidy, and he said like he believed there was an argument for Randle being the best player in the team, which I disagreed with. But like it's not like it was like an outrageous take at the time.
Yeah, but like this is clearly Anthony Edwards' team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it also like his effort looked horrible. Like I know that happens sometimes, but like first game of the season, you're playing the Lakers, you're playing like LeBron James, and you're on a new team, you want to prove something, and you're just like kind of not boxing out. Your defense is you're taking bad shots. It was very like, I'm not a Julius Randle guy. I know you think I'm a massive Julius Randle fan, but it was very like, it's disappointing to watch like not inspired hoops. It's kind of gross, and it was very noticeable. I mean, your boy Rudy Gobert just got extended. He didn't look that great out there.
No, he did not.
I think it's a tough matchup though. Anthony Davis is one of the best bigs in the league. But yeah, I wanted to see a little more Rob Dillingham from the Timberwolves. I thought he was gonna like be like one of the first guys off the bench, but I think he might have gotten like 2 minutes. I don't even know if he played. I don't even think he got in. And then the Lakers side, I mean, I think JJ Redick's gonna be a good coach, Chris. I know you disagree with me. I think there could be some flaws. Like I think he could be too pro player and let them kind of do what they want. But I mean, there's a lot of movement on the offensive side. I keep seeing clips on Twitter about like he's running this set from UConn, he's running this set from the Celtics, he's running like so and so, and he is like a kind of like a weird psycho guy, which I think you kind of need to be as a coach. But yeah, the Lakers. They look pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, for your Wolves. The Dillingham thing. Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was listening to the numbers on the board pod on the way home from work today. And they were talking about how they were surprised that Dillingham was getting like very few reps in the preseason. So, I would think that he would play more throughout the season, especially like with Mike Conley like getting older and everything. But I'm not sure how that's going to work. Yeah, so that would be interesting to say. I will come to Julius Randle's defense though, because obviously like coming to a new team could be very trying to fit in where you are. And last year, people forget he had a very, very bad start to the season. Like it was like the first like 10 games, he was like we're looking very, very bad, but then ended up making the All-Star game. So like it's I think it's very very bad and very good for Julius Randle, and I think we'll see a lot of that this year. My take on and I'll come to Rudy. I'm playing both sides here because I'll come to Rudy Gobert's defense too. Nobody looks good against Anthony Davis. It's like, and that includes Bam Adebayo and Victor Wembanyama. In addition to that, as I mentioned, Gobert is not a great one-on-one defender. That's not his job. His job is to anchor the defense, be that roamer guy, and teams are afraid to drive. Teams are afraid to drive on him when he's inside the lane. That's like the most efficient shot in the game is a layup, and teams don't make layups when Rudy Gobert is on the floor. So that's what his job is at the end of the day, and he does that flawlessly. And one more thing, like that Rudy Gobert is a great defender. That the only time that you hear him get criticized is when he gets smoked by the best players in the league. Obviously Luka broke his ankles last year. He doesn't do well. There was someone else that he got smoked up by last year. Like it was another big name. I forgot who it was. Oh yeah, he doesn't do well against Jokic really. But then again, like the Wolves drove like a very good scheme for them to beat the Nuggets. So I'm kind of rambling here, but
I will say about Rudy Gobert. I saw something online today, and I totally agree. People like on Twitter, they act like he's like some bum defender, like he's so overrated, blah, blah, blah. But then like whenever he gets scored on or whenever he's on like the wrong side of the highlight, it's posted everywhere. Like that kind of shows you that he's a good defender. Yeah. Not a good defender, but a great defender. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's a bad offensive player. I'm someone who thought he was better, who thought he was like fine, but I don't think he's good at all. Like he's I thought he was a good screen and roll guy, but he's a very bad catcher. Like if you're gonna be a good screener, you have to be at least another threat outside of that. But he really
isn't. He's a big negative on offense, and it's very noticeable sometimes.
And he was better in Utah. I'll say that because he was able to open more lanes for Mitchell, but the guy has stone hands and he just can't shoot the ball outside of 3 feet. So and even then, but so which it's going to be weird for the Wolves because people complain about the fit of Gobert and Cat all the time, but at the end of the day, Cat was able to guard the centers. I don't know if Randle's going to be able to do that. I'm sure he might be able to do that against like the smaller centers, but like guarding like Jokic, Embiid, they're going to kind of come up with a different system. Maybe Stone's hands, good one, Joe. And maybe in certain games give more minutes to Naz, maybe minutes to Naz in that sense. But as far as it goes for the Lakers, I do agree with you. I'm going to give JJ like a little more of a chance than I initially thought, just because at the end of the day, and this is bad of me, just because it is hard to look at things from an objective lens. But when people praise guys as Jesus Christ from the beginning, and they just say like, "Oh, look at this guy, he's amazing," and everything, it really aggravates me because I like to watch and observe. Like, let this guy show us what he can do. Just because he made a couple of owner comments to Stephen A. and to Mad Dog, that doesn't mean he's gonna be a great coach. But however, he has the locker room for sure. He really seems like that. Even like the huddles. I saw like a couple of like side by sides between Ham and JJ, and obviously JJ was much better. And he's like a very confident guy too. So like he has all the intangibles for sure. As you mentioned, like he could be a little much of a people pleaser to the players, which it's good to be a player's coach for sure. But like at the end of the day, you do need to make some you do need to make some like unpopular moves sometimes as
Mhm.
the head coach. Which I'm sure like as he gets older, he might get better at. But he obviously knows the X's and O's of the game. I saw a tweet today that said like you just know for a fact that like LeBron and JJ just like lock themselves in a room and just watch the game like religiously. Which like this is probably like the first time that LeBron's actually friends with his coach, because like he was like friendly with Ty Lue towards the end, but wasn't really close with Frank Vogel or Darvin Ham. But yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to see. I feel like I was missing
friendly now, but maybe we'll end up in 41 games. We'll talk about how JJ and LeBron hate each other.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I was missing one more thing with JJ. Maybe it'll come back to me later. Yeah, like yeah, like the Seiko comment. Yeah, the Seiko comment's gonna be very. It's very cute when you're playing grades, but as we see with Joe Mazzulla, when he makes like a snappy comment to the media and they lose, it's hell on earth.
Yeah,
we saw like I went on the Simple Minds podcast. They used to be part of Sports Fluence, and defended Joe Mazzulla. Because they said like, oh look, listen to what he said to the media. I'm like, okay, I don't care what he says to the media, but like they said like, yeah, but you gotta make sure if you're gonna be like an asshole to the media, you have to at least win the game, which I agree with. But the Lakers won against a very good team, so it's yes, so it's obviously so it's obviously super impressive. Like I'm not gonna take away anything from that, but it'll be interesting to see how they duplicated. Are they playing tonight or tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, the night game is the Thunder and the Nuggets and the Wolves and the Kings. Celtics up 15, by the way. 9 minutes to go in the fourth.
I was checking away. Keep sporadically updating it. We got a couple Sixers fan in the chat if you want to talk about Sixers.
That's a great idea. I didn't even include them in my notes, but yeah, we can absolutely do that. Didn't really get to. I didn't really, honestly, really didn't get to catch a ton of the Sixers game last night. But obviously, yeah, there's not really much to take away from that game. Even if I did watch it. But obviously, like I'm someone who's higher on the Bucks this year than most people. I do have Giannis as my MVP. And yeah, obviously, I'm also someone who was on record saying that I think that Dame's going to be much better this year. Both of them played great last night. So
yeah,
again, no victory laps yet, but however, I'm very confident that both of them are going to have great seasons, even if the Bucks aren't going to be as great.
Yeah, Damian Lillard looked awesome last night. He looked very confident in a shot. The only the concern I have about the Bucks is their depth. I was actually talking about it with Drew last night. Like their bench is very thin. They're getting old. Brook Lopez, he had 10, 8, and 6. But he did shoot 3 of 11. So I can't even say that he had a good game. But Gary Trent Jr., he's a good scorer. He's not a good defender. I think he would be a good bench piece. I don't think he's a starter really in this league right now. But yeah, I'm not sold on the Bucks yet. I still have to watch more of them. I have to see the how much they mesh well with Doc Rivers as well. They had some time with him, but Dame and Giannis were hurt at the end of the year. It was kind of like a rush fit. So I'm gonna see how well they adjust. And on the Sixers side, obviously you can't take massive stock into this game. Obviously, 2 of their top 3 best players were out in Embiid and Porzingis. Celtic legend Gershon Yabusele had a pretty good game in his first game back to the league. If he's solid, the Sixers are going to be like could play a huge role for the Sixers this year. Because their bench, I'm not going to say thin, but it could be thin if a couple guys don't work out. Their rookie Jared McCain only played 3 minutes. I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did get hurt in the preseason.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
back, but maybe that's the reason why. But I think he's going to also play a role, so we'll see his growth. But like I said before, you can't really take any stock into this team yet without 2 of their 3 best players playing.
One thing I didn't realize until last night, actually, but yeah, we'll go back to the Bucks about how thin they were. I didn't realize that Malik Beasley actually left the team. I thought he was going to be their 6th man, but yeah, he's obviously on the Pistons now. So yeah, the depth is a lot, because my thought process was, they're going to be better because they just added a starter and their guys going to take a smaller role. No, Beasley's gone. Obviously, Taurean Prince played pretty good last night too. I forgot to mention that. But
he's solid.
He's solid, but again, how sustainable? You think so?
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of Taurean Prince, but
I know the Laker fans were playing last year that he was getting minutes over Hachimura, but I'm not really high on either of those guys. So, but yeah, I'm sure the Prince could be solid. On on the certain situation.
I'm getting cooked in the chat right now, Chris. Saying I do not know Bull.
Oh yeah, shut up, Howard. So yeah, I agree with you though. Yeah, this. I don't know what to think of the Sixers. I ranked them down as the 6th seed this year because I really because like at the end of the day I don't believe in their bench really. Obviously their starting 5 is very strong. Maxey, who's their 2 guard? Is it Oubre or is it someone else?
Oubre played the 3 yesterday, but I think that's just because of
I
Paul
think
George
he's
out.
yeah. I think Paul George, Caleb Martin, and Embiid, and then their bench is Boussalet, Kyle Lowry, Drummond, who's a very good backup center, even though I'm probably his number 1 hater. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a bunch of solid pieces. But at the end of the day, unless you have like a solid, like a very, very solid bench, if you're gonna have an injury prone starting 5, I'm not gonna put much stock in you. I understand like the whole thought process of like, oh, we're gonna wait about it into the playoffs. I feel like you shouldn't have that mindset unless you have a shred of playoff success. Like the Sixers haven't, the best playoff team that they've beaten ever is the 2022 Raptors. That's the best playoff team that they've ever beaten. So I find it very hard to believe that they're going to be this great team, which I understand. Like now you have 3 All-Stars, but this isn't the first time they've had 3 All-Star caliber players. They've like Maxey wasn't as good as he was in wasn't as good in 2023 as he is now, but still he was like an All-Star-esque player. Like he was getting there. And the Sixers still found a way to lose in the second round, despite Jason Tatum playing his worst ever game in Game 6, and then even game 5, which like even Game 5 they played awful as well. So the Sixers, it's probably like the longest Sixers tangent I've gone on in a while, but yeah, like I don't believe in them at all. I have another game in mind that I want to talk about. But are there any other any other games that you enjoyed? Maybe games that you didn't watch, but games that you enjoyed like looking at.
So I watched like 2 minutes of this game, but last night I was playing pickup, so I was just following along of the Magic Heat game. I have Paolo Banchero on my fantasy team, and it's awesome. He played amazing. The Magic looked solid, and the Heat looked awful. From the little bit that I watched, everyone was talking about Jimmy Butler. He's angry this year. He's in a contract year. Maybe he'll try. It might have been the worst game I've ever seen him play, especially like stats wise too. What do you have? 3 points.
3 points.
Bam played poorly. Hero and Rozier, I think, led scoring, but they were pretty inefficient. I am not moved by this Heat team at all. Their under over for the year was what, like 43.5 or something like that?
45.5, I think. Maybe it was 40. Maybe it was 43. Maybe it's.
I think they won 44 games last year with the injuries and with like all the drama going on. So like maybe it goes over, but I think they're like a clear first round exit. I think they're not very good.
As of last Friday, that's when I last updated my spreadsheet. They were at 44.5, and I predicted them to win 44 games. And it's funny because I like finalized my spreadsheet and everything. Like I was all set and everything. And then I listened to both the Bill Simmons pod and Numbers on the Board, which like neither of those are gospel by any means, but they're guys I respect because all of them look into it really well. All of them were saying like, oh yeah, we're definitely expecting the Heat to bounce back this year. Like they're going to be angry and everything, which I was like, oh yeah, maybe, because the Heat do have a history of like they're most dangerous, like when everyone's looking down to them. Obviously in 2020 when they were the 5 seed, not only were they the 5 seed, they started off as the 4 seed, and then in the bubble regular season they fell down because they were playing so bad in the bubble, and then they ended up upsetting the Bucks in 2020. They upset them again in 2023. Then beat the Celtics, and like there's nothing. Yeah, like, as the saying goes, I'm gonna butcher the saying, but there's nothing more scary than the guy who has nothing to lose. So like that's kind of what their mindset is, which works sometimes. Like if you want to play like the us against the world mentality, which is a very healthy thing to do if you want to really build that mindset. But however, if you're gonna have the mindset but stink, that's not gonna be good. And I'm never going to write off the Heat entirely, especially with their exposure and even with Jimmy Butler's playoff performances. But at what point does it? At what point are we going to at what point does production matter? Jimmy Butler did not play at an all NBA caliber level last year. Didn't even play at an All-Star level. Didn't even make the All-Star game. Yeah, so didn't play at that level. Didn't play in the playoffs. the last time that we saw him play like at an elite level was I guess you can say earlier in 2023, like I should say like earlier in the Celtics series, like in a game 1, game 2, he played really well against the Celtics. That's the last time we really saw him play at an elite level. Yeah, but very hard.
Chris, you said, you're not ready to write them off, the Heat.
Yeah,
I am. I think they stink.
Go ahead. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Because like the reason that I'm holding on.
Sorry, there's a higher chance that they miss the playoffs and win a playoff series this year.
I 100% agree with that. Like that, I agree with you there. 100% agree with you. The only thing that's keeping me holding on from them, first of all, Erik Spoelstra. Second of all, last year, most of their guys, like it wasn't just Jimmy Butler that was injured. It was Terry Rozier. It was Josh Richardson, Tyler Hero. Wait, Hero's injured for the Celtics series.
For the Celtics series.
I thought he played.
Oh, I thought you. I was just saying he was injured at a point.
Oh no, I was talking about lost. Okay, John Foreman. We'll talk about the Rockets in a little bit, but I have a very funny story about that in a second. Lost my train of thought there, but yeah, like I do think I think that obviously the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Magic, and the Cavs are all clear cut better than them. The only way that they make the playoffs without making the playing tournament, which I know the numbers the board guys said, like they think that they're going to make the play. I forgot which one of the four of them said. I forgot which one. Said they're going to make the playoffs without the playing tournament. It's going to be the Pacers and either the Cavs or the Magic, or whichever one. The Sixers, if you want to say, are going to have to significantly underachieve by having like an injury or something. You can't bank on that. And yeah, like I'm not not writing them off completely, but I'm taking the under on the Heat series, and I was being very generous.
I am writing them off. All 4 teams you mentioned are a clear tier above them. They stink.
I appreciate your confidence. Yeah. We'll hop onto the shout out John Foreman, fan of the show. Lost a lot of money in the Rockets. That boy LaMelo. And he's above it. He need PR training. I didn't see the last part. Very funny. John, one of my favorite memories with you actually was over this summer. Matt, I'm sure you remember this too. We were at the Osprey, and you guys were yelling at him because he was placing a very expensive bets on the Celtics to win the finals. It was horrible odds. They were up 3-1. So, but yeah, I forgot how much money, but it was a lot of money. So, we love a guy who gamble, who's very risky. But however, if any of my students are watching right now, gamble safely if you're going to gamble. I placed a $5 bet last week on the pod, but if you're going to gamble very safely. Don't be like John Foreman. We love you, John Foreman. Though. Thank you for supporting the show.
If any of the 11-year-olds that Chris teaches are watching, gamble safely. That's a good lesson, Chris.
They're 13, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 and 13. Yeah. So, yeah.
But yeah, about the Hornets Rockets game. Shout out Charles Lee, ex Celtics assistant, got his first win. Shout out also another ex Celtics, Grant Williams, at the game winning 3 of that game. I don't know if the Hornets. I said at the beginning of the year that the Hornets were going to make the play-in, like in the offseason, but the East might be a little too deep for them to make the play-in and make the playoffs. Was my original take. I think the East might be a little too deep for them to do that. But I mean, a very impressive win against a solid Rockets team that people have high expectations for this year. LaMelo Ball obviously had a great game. He does need a little PR training at the end with the post-game comments. But the biggest concern with LaMelo is always if he can stay healthy. You know, he's going to fill the stat sheet. He had a great game last night. And a lot of the other guys stepped up. Trey Mann off the bench had 20-something points. He looked great. Grant Williams had a couple big shots. I mean, Brandon Miller left early. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Hornets are going to be fun this year, especially if they're well coached with Charles Lee.
100% agree with that. Yeah, I have the Hornets finishing as the 9th seed, which I apologize if I'm annoying any of you because for me being very specific with my rankings. But yeah, I do have the Hornets finishing 9th, just behind I just set it up right now. Just behind Heat, actually. Oh no, I shouldn't say just behind it because it was a solid 8-game separation. But yeah, like I think after the Pacers, the 7th seed, I think it's the Heat, it's the Hornets, I'm missing someone, the Hawks, and the Pistons. I think are going to be much better than people think. So, yeah, those guys are play-in tournament-esque, is what I believe. obviously, Charles Lee, which we didn't mention the Bucks earlier. One of their very underrated botched moves was not hiring him. They gave it to what's his name instead.
Doc Rivers?
No, the one before that.
Oh yeah, I forgot his name too.
Damn it. His son just quit the league. I forgot his name. To be the minister. But yeah, we can move on from that.
Adrian Griffin.
Yes, there we go. So yeah. Yeah, like which hindsight 2020, but however, everyone loves Charles Lee. Obviously, he was a good coach under Mike Budenholzer. But however, we'll give Joe Mazzulla the credit there because he was most recently coached next to Joe Mazzulla. But yeah, very happy for him. Hopefully, he has a good future there. Hopefully, we mentioned Brandon Miller earlier. Hopefully, his injury is going to be very minimal. Expecting big things from him this year because my prediction on them, because I hammered the over on them. My prediction on that is it's like a very high reliance on him on him developing. It's the combination of LaMelo being healthy, Brandon Miller being Brandon Miller developing, and Charles Lee just like raising this team's floor significantly. So I think all those three things combined, I think the Hornets will win over. I forgot their over unders. I think it was like 30.5 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 30 and a half.
It was 30 and a half. Yeah, I thought so. Then as far as it goes for the Rockets, the Rockets are an interesting team. I'm pretty sure that I bet the under on them slightly. I'll double check on that right now. But they're an interesting team. Obviously, they handed out all the extensions the other day. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I forgot who the GM is now, but yeah, he didn't really get too generous with the contracts, which usually we see GMs jump the gun on that, which I don't blame them for that because they want to get their contracts done with. But they didn't let the players bully them at the table, which I came on quoting the pod, what numbers on the board. They were talking about how it's almost like resetting the market because obviously we're not going to say like, oh, these players shouldn't be getting paid this much money. But however, if there is a budget, you don't need to go over the budget all the time for players who aren't going to overachieve. So Jalen Green's a very good player, but he's not great yet. So, and you don't want to pay him that much money for that long. Like the 3 years thing was the very underrated part of that. But the Rockets obviously not that great of a start for them. I think they will get better for sure. But I'm going to get the chance to do it every time I get it. Ime Udoka is still kicking himself because he's obviously the Rockets are going to be a good team, but he could very well have at least 2 rings now. So
the Rockets are in a very good spot though. Like numbers on the board was talking about it. They have so much depth that they don't have to go and give max contracts to guys that shouldn't really be getting max contracts. Right. They didn't offer one to Sengun, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, he balled out last game, but they also didn't give one to Jalen Green. And I mean, Jalen Green can score the ball. I'm really not sold on him, but they have so much depth. They have so many young guys. They have like Reed Shepherd, Amen Thompson, and guys like that, that if Jalen Green wants to walk, maybe those guys take a leap and fill his role. So that's why I think they didn't dish out the max contracts, but I think they're in a very good spot. I mean, obviously tough loss. I think they were up 18 at one point, and ended up blowing it. But I mean, I think they're a playing team this year and maybe make a tough matchup in the first round for whoever they play.
Right. When I was doing my top 100, I do my top 100 and I kind of do I glance at the stats. I don't really dive deep into them though. With Jalen Green, I kind of dove deeper with him because the numbers were worse than I thought they were, but they were. I was not impressed last year because then I looked at the splits. He killed it in March. It was awesome to see. Look at where he is. But then April went back to who he was for the first 4 or 5 months of the season. I 100% understand that they didn't want to give him this contract because he is not looking like a number 2 pick as of now. I don't know how he played last night. He actually wasn't. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't play that well last night either. But I don't know. I don't know what to expect from them. I bet the under on them. It was literally by a negative half a win. So yes, but I think that was mostly just because I'm projecting those a lot of people to bet on the over. So but obviously also just the West in general. But yeah, don't be surprised if they end up being better than people think they will be. We got about 5 minutes left, so yeah, I think we'll spend the last portion of the show just talking about the night game that was the Clippers versus the Suns. Obviously, the Suns. Sorry,
can I cut you off real quick?
Absolutely.
Shout out loyal legend Santi Aldama leading the Grizzlies in scoring last game.
Oh hell yeah.
27 points. But go ahead. I didn't want to really talk a lot about that game. I just wanted to mention Santi Aldama. But
Who did the Grizzlies play last night again?
the Grizzlies played the Jazz.
That's right. Yeah. Teacher.
Went to overtime.
Yeah, we did go to overtime. That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
Oh, good. So yeah, the Suns played the Clippers. The Suns, I did like a little bit of flip flop on this year because like whole offseason I said like they're not going to be that good. But then really started to look at it. I said like, okay, you know what? They were better towards the end of last year. They were like the worst fourth quarter team in the league last year. They're gonna that can't really duplicate. Obviously, Bradley Beal played like his worst basketball of his career. Like, I mean, that was a career, but like definitely like in most recently he'll be better. They have a point guard now, but at the end of the day, their two main concerns is keeping Kevin Durant healthy and their awful defense. So, which showed last night. So obviously James Harden cooked them for a very high percentage of the game. And also Booker and KD were very inefficient, which I'm not too concerned about that. But if one of those guys isn't really doing well, then it's gonna be pretty hard to win those games because they really doubled down on that ISO scoring. But I don't know what your takeaways are on that.
Yeah, James Harden looked awesome for a little bit, and then he kind of fell off at the end, which is vintage James Harden. But yeah, I'm not impressed about the Clippers at all, especially without Kawhi. I mean, maybe a couple of the guys take a leap, like Kai Jones are taking a risk on, Kevin Porter Jr. they're taking a risk on. Like maybe those guys are solid, but I don't like their ceiling isn't that high. So I'm not taking as much stock into the Suns win as maybe some others are. But Bradley Beal looked really good. Tyus Jones looked like he's filling his role well. Kevin Durant hit the big shot at the end. Devin Booker played well, even though he didn't take a lot of shots at the beginning of the game. And like you said, I was shocked when I heard that they were the worst fourth quarter team in the league last year. Because especially with a guy like Kevin Durant and a guy like Devin Booker, like that's kind of shocking to me. But I guess it was because of their defense. Mm-hmm. Coach Bud, I mean, a lot of people are high on Budenholzer. He's a good regular season coach. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. I mean, that seems to be the equation that everyone's following past couple seasons. But yeah, I mean, the Suns looked pretty solid last night. I mean, they figured it out. And the Clipper Stadium, the Intuit Dome or whatever, is awesome. That place looks so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not high on the Clippers either. I was thinking about for a second, like being bold. Like if Kawhi was going to be healthy beginning of the year, I was thinking about being bold on them and picking them to be like a 5 or 6 seed because regular season Kawhi is an awesome player when he's healthy. But we haven't seen obviously he's not going to be there. So yeah, pretty sure I still took the over on them though. Just simply because I feel like James Harden is going to enjoy that role at least for the very beginning of the season. Not much else to say though, honestly. Yeah, like I do think the Suns will be better. Yeah, I think I'm expecting a big year from KD. Which we get a big year from KD every year, but I'm expecting like borderline first, second team All NBA from him. Like in my top 100 list, I did have him at number 6. So hopefully he stays healthy, and I do think that KD will be getting a lot of maybe even some MVP votes if he stays healthy and the Suns win a lot of games. Cool. Yeah, so that's yeah, that wraps up the show for today. Obviously very excited to be back. I say be back, but we've been here all summer, but yeah, I'm excited to. It's been like a lot of like projections and stuff, so obviously excited just to talk about the actual games. Yeah. But yeah, we're very excited to dive more into it. Hopefully John will be back next week, where we can talk a little more. But before we sign off, let me just check how the Celtics are doing, just to give a little.
When you're checking, I have a couple things to say. It's so awesome. NBA is back. We were trying to get the Pacers Pistons on the screen, and it was like so exciting. And it was the Pacers Pistons. And also, I see an addition to your jersey wall, a little Shaquille O'Neal jersey.
That's right.
Very nice.
Yeah. I feel like I had a story about that, but I could be wrong. Yeah, and I made you happy. I covered up Steph Curry. The entire show. Maybe I might have to move Paul Pierce a little bit though, because I covered him up the entire show too. So that's okay though. Celtics are up.
They were up like 20 last time I saw.
They were up 28 it looks like actually. So what happened? Yeah, so Tatum is 25 now, D White 19, Payton Pritchard 15. Who else? Jaylen Brown 17. So yeah, looking good. Yeah, very beginning of the fourth. Knock wood. Obviously, hopefully, yeah. Like the end of last season, they really weren't blowing a ton of leads. So hopefully, like they're gonna blow leads this year. So like I'm not gonna say that's in the past, but hopefully it doesn't start tonight. All right, cool. So this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Make sure to follow All American Hooper on all social medias, including TikTok, Instagram, and X. Subscribe to @SportsFluence on YouTube to catch every episode on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. I almost said Tuesdays, honestly. Even though it's been about 2 months now. And follow @SportsFluence on X, Instagram, and TikTok to catch other shows on the channel. Which speaking of which, we're actually looking for more people to join shows. So if you either have a podcast or know of any other podcast that you want to join the program, let us know. But this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. And I hope everyone has a great night.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.